Go Jackets.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. So, as we keep moving along, more and more news, more and more movement, or talk about movement and conference realignment. So, as we all know, the Pac-12 is now down to 4 teams, and those 4 teams are looking for a landing spot. In conjunction with that, the ACC has kind of sat on their hands, and there's a big push for the ACC to expand, do something, what have you. So, word on the street, or the rumor mill, was that the ACC was looking to add Stanford and Cal. And evidently they had a vote about this. But as soon as this news kind of broke that the ACC was contemplating this, I was immediately not a fan of it. Cal is one of the few teams in the country that's in worse financial shape than Georgia Tech. Though Georgia Tech is in probably much better shape now that they signed this deal with Hyundai. Cal is the most indebted team in the country. They're $400 million in debt. It doesn't look like their TV market is that strong, and it's kind of similar to Georgia Tech, where yes, Georgia Tech's in Atlanta. Atlanta is a great market to be in, but just not a lot of people watching Georgia Tech on TV. Same with Cal. Just doesn't seem like a lot of people are watching Cal games. Stanford in a little bit, or not, I shouldn't say a little bit. They're in a much better financial situation, but kind of the same as far as TV market, number of people watching. And what's the point of me saying all that? The point is, when you're looking to expand right now, Florida State and Clemson, their biggest grievance is money. So when you're looking to expand, number one, that you can't have the share be less. So if Stanford and Cal come and join the ACC and they're not adding enough revenue to at least break even on their revenue share they would get, then all teams are going to get less. This actually puts you in a worse position than you were before. And I think it's very likely that's what would have happened. There was also talks of adding SMU, and SMU was basically willing to do anything to join the ACC. I think I saw they were willing to not be paid a share from the ACC for 5 years. They had boosters that were willing to donate like $200 million to counteract the loss of ACC revenue share. Honestly, that made the most sense to me. As oxymoronic as it might seem, I think it would have made way more sense to add SMU because they're in Texas. That expands the ACC into Texas. And look, if you're young, you don't remember. And look, I wasn't alive when this was happening, but the SMU does have an interesting history. They once were really good at football. They got the death penalty by the NCAA for doing the same exact things like that Texas was doing at the time. But now I'll just read the tweet that I see. ACC voted last night not to add Stanford and Cal at this time. There is a strong possibility the American could be a landing spot. They would take all 4 Pac schools. Now, evidently, there were 4 ACC teams that voted against this of the 15 ACC teams, and for some reason Notre Dame has voting rights in this. I just realized that my green screen's not all the way covering. Whatever. Not worried about it. I'm not re-recording. I don't know why Notre Dame has voting rights when they're not a full member of the ACC. I don't care if they're a full member in other sports. They're not a full member in all sports, so the heck with them. By the way, Notre Dame would have loved for this to happen. They say it's because, academic schools are going to get left behind in this, which could be true. That's not their motivation. Notre Dame has this pious nose in the air mentality, and they like playing those teams. So I'm sure what Notre Dame was saying is, hey, if you add Stanford and Notre Dame, it's really going to look good to us as far as us joining the ACC. And sounds like the ACC did the right thing and said, F you. You need to sign something saying you're joining the conference with these teams, or get out of our faces. Like, I think it's insane that we offered them a life preserver during the COVID years where they were able to basically come into the conference for a year when it most benefited them and then get out when it most benefited them. I absolutely hate Notre Dame. Join a conference or get out. Now, with that being said, if Notre Dame would have joined with them, then I would have been all for it. That would have made a ton of sense. Notre Dame, probably one of the most iconic brands in college football. That would have been very good for the ACC. But I'm sure Clemson and Florida State voted against this. Evidently, Virginia Tech voted against this. I'm not sure who the other team was. But I'm sure that was 100% money motivated. They looked at it and said, hey, there's a possibility we'll make less money bringing these teams in. This makes 0 sense. I do think that they were going to agree to a 60 or 70% like prorated revenue share for a certain amount of time. But again, that's kicking the can down the road. If that's for 3 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years from now, teams are going to be making less. And it's very unlikely that Cal and Stanford in 3 to 5 years are going to get things in order where they're all of a sudden generating, big money for college football. So who knows what's going to happen with this? I have a feeling that the ACC is not going to add any schools because there's really no schools other than like a Notre Dame to add now. I mean, maybe you could add Memphis. Teams like Memphis, SMU make more sense than adding teams from the Pac-12. But who knows what's going to happen? Let me know what you guys think. Do you think the ACC should have added Cal and Stanford? What do you think Notre Dame is doing right now? What do you think the ACC should do? You guys have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.